And a happy Monday to you all. See how I did that? I worked happy into that. Yeah. This guy right here, Ray Fluck, television beat writer for Bleeding Cool. This is our recap, review, rev-ap, whatever we want to call it, for Syfy's Happy, which is their series adaptation of the graphic novel series from Grant Morrison and Derek Robertson. Unfortunately, moment of silence. It's sad to say this is going to be our last one for this season because it is the 8th and final episode, I Am the Future. But we're not going to start off on a depressing note. We're going to start off on a positive note because for those of you who haven't read and haven't seen it and didn't check earlier on past Bleeding Cool posts, and if you haven't, seriously, why not? Happy has been renewed for a second season. I don't think there's been an episode order given yet. I'm hoping we get a few more episodes. 10 would be nice. I'm not looking for them to overkill it, but as we go through the recap, you're going to see there's a lot of really interesting questions to build upon for the second season. But anyhow, let's jump right into a review recap, give you my thoughts on how the episode went, and of course, as we always start off with, my handy-dandy lore book of quotes from the episode. I'm going to have to change this up soon because I'm running out of pages. So for now, this is the lore book of quotes. We're going to if anybody would like to send me stuff to promote and send me a check, that'd be great, but I digress. So here's our top 10 quotes in no particular order. Nick, my plan involves torture. When Happy's explaining to Nick what exactly he plans on doing with Very Bad Santa's sock puppet. You'll be erased. This is the future. You're not a part of it. I'm the future. Sunny shine to Amanda, which raises a lot of questions going into the second season. You're sure he's on level and not just blowing powdered sugar up your ass. Sax to Happy, making sure that the information that he got out of the Very Bad Santa's imaginary friend is actually on the up and up. You look like your cruise ship got torpedoed by Liberace's corpse. McCarthy to Sunny Shine when they have their confrontation. I just keep discovering bold new frontiers of suck. Sax, who at one point in the episode literally finds himself not stuck in not one but two bear traps, just to give you an idea of the Sax good luck and how it continues. Take my hand and we can fly away together. Very Bad Santa. As disturbing a quote as you're vibing from it right now. Trust me. And I brought friends. Cut him, Twig. When Happy brings some reinforcements to help him take out Very Bad Santa. You know, I was getting used to you being dead. McCarthy to Sax at the gravesite of McCarthy's mother. You gave me my daughter, Mare. You're my hero. Sax to McCarthy, and you can see it's nice that their relationship has gone to a completely different level, especially now that there's not anything that we know of that Blue has over McCarthy at this point, at least that we know of. And at the very end, here comes the fun. Are you ready? I think someone needs a shot of liquid courage. Happy to Sax, because Happy has found new employment and didn't actually have to stray too far from home. Which we're going to be talking about now as we go into our recap. As I said, this is the 8th episode, our season finale, thankfully not series finale, I Am the Future, and things pick up right where we left off. We have the Blue and McCarthy scene where Blue and McCarthy are having their back and forth, which gets quickly interrupted, no surprise, by Sax, who's really ready to just kind of cheese shred Blue on that barbed wire to get information, but Blue is just not going to talk and he's not going to give the information. So they're kind of at a standstill until Happy realizes that one of the things he finds on the ground turns out to be the sock puppet for Very Bad Santa, and that results in a very interesting torture scene because Happy takes the sock puppet back to the counseling group that we saw in one of the previous episodes and gives new meaning to tickle torture. The panning away just left way. It's funny they panned away for that with everything else they've shown. But it just left way too much the imagination. But again, in typical Happy fashion, they give you something very grandiose and shocking, and then they hit you with the heartbreaking. And when the sock puppet starts telling the story about, that it just got to be too much because of everything the boy had to go through, and then the way the boy, Very Bad Santa, as he was growing up, was acting out on all the horrible things that he'd seen. It's rough, and it is a very heartbreaking scene. I was surprised how much that got to me. So from there, we go to now a really screwed up, white, shiny room. And Amanda's there, and Sunnyshine is basically just laying into her, telling her essentially she's not worth anything, she's not part of this plan, she's disposable, she's just not going to make it out of there alive. And then Sunnyshine glam rocks his way right back out of the room. We then cut to Very Bad Santa. Very Bad Santa is now just in major hallucination mode. We see he takes Hailey into an area. Um, it Well, it's a toy land, at least in Very Bad Santa's mind. It's probably the best way to put it. And you get the sense already, like, you don't want this to stop being the imagination area because you just don't want to know what's going on in reality. And lo and behold, we see it. Not only is it just a big, empty, open area, freight area, loft area, building area, but you have this menagerie of I guess were once kids abducted, and we get a sense now of what happens to them when they don't get found, and they're just these, like, as we'll find out, lobotomized, just, I guess, puppet toys for Very Bad Santa. It's a rough scene, and it is played out even more when Happy and Sax come upon the scene also. And there's a sweet yet disturbing scene where one of them wants to give Sax a slinky, and yeah, and it's as that's going on, we cut to a scene with Very Bad Santa and Hailey, and he's doing a very weird, twisted version of sitting on Santa's lap. Because what ends up happening is we see, with the form of a power drill, how he essentially gets to keep these kids of his young forever. He lobotomizes them and essentially gets them to just be the little spin-top toys that he wants them to be. Thankfully, Hailey is Sax and Amanda's kid, because snow globe, boom, out, Hailey takes off. So we now cut back to Sax, and we cut back to Happy. Now they're hearing Santa screams, because you're going to scream when you get your head bashed in with a snow globe. So Sax, in typical fashion, goes rushing in, more heart and balls than brain, because he ends up falling into a bear trap, and then ends up falling into another bear trap. Yeah, because again, Sax isn't just going to fall into one bear trap, he's going to fall into two, because of course that's just how it works. So Happy has no choice. He's got to go on and to find Hailey and see what he can do. We now cut to Sunny Shine, who was confronted by McCarthy. And it's interesting, because as much as she knows she's going to confront him, she knows at this point he's way too big and way too connected. There's not much she can do except the one card that she can play. And it has been a semi-recurring theme throughout all this, is the importance of image and what you're putting out there. I mean, with Isabella and Mikey and everything on the Scaramucci family. And in this regards, and McCarthy puts it out there, like, look, you can be out in 24 hours, but if I walk out in front of that wish-tacular monstrosity thing you're about to have and arrest you, all the cameras are going to do is essentially be waiting for you to get out of jail. Even if you're completely exonerated, they'll basically start picking apart your past. They'll start looking into everything. And Sunny Shine doesn't want that. So Sunny Shine's like, okay, you know what? Maybe I heard a rumor she might be hanging out in the tower. You should go pick her up. Essentially, you back off from me, I'll back off from you. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to talk about this in a couple minutes. Not comfortable with how easy that went down. I'm hoping McCarthy isn't as comfortable with how that went down also. It went a little too smoothly and a little too comfortably for everybody's sake. Yeah, and again, I'll touch upon that on the questions I have that I think season 2 are going to need to address. But what we have now is we have Happy confronting Very Bad Santa. And it's one of these things where it's just like, okay, round 2, you're not swallowing me, dude. And he really puts the fight to Very Bad Santa. Now, again, it's not like he's not, Happy's not Jackie Chan. There's only so much he's going to be able to do, but he's able to buy Hailey time for Hailey to take off. Eventually, granted, Happy finds himself put into a big jar of blue minty formaldehyde. But again, he gets the job done, at least temporarily, and it's Happy. You know he's not going to be kept down for long. So what we get at this point is we get Hailey making her way out and up to the roof, Very Bad Santa following her up there. He's talking to her about everything about his past and how she should stay with him, and there's just all these horrible things for growing up, and there's nothing but disappointment waiting for you and everything like that. And she's on the roof and she's on the edge and she sees the cops below. And then lo and behold, who appears? Not Happy, but her dad, Sax. Sax appears, and Very Bad Santa goes slinking off into the darkness, and we actually have the confrontation between father and daughter. And I don't want to say confrontation. The very sweet scene where he wants to say who he is and he can't, and he says, "I'm Happy sent me," and it's just that moment of connection where she knows, Dad, you're my hero. Beautiful moment. It was handled beautifully. I don't think it betrayed Sax, but I think it showed a thawing of him. I think it just the actress who, and I'm forgetting her name off the top of my head, but the actress who plays Hailey, I think has just done underappreciated work this season, and especially deserves a lot of accolades for that. So we basically have them back together, and then lo and behold, we get a fight. And Very Bad Santa's on the attack. Sax and Very Bad Santa are fighting. Sax actually gets the advantage over Very Bad Santa, and then of course, yep, exactly. In typical Sax Lucky fashion, the heart starts to give out. So, of course, Very Bad Santa is now ready to just kind of level the job completely. Except there's one problem. Happy's back, and he brought some reinforcements. And these reinforcements, his imaginary friends from the support group, just start laying into Very Bad Santa. And again, it's rough because you see some sacrifices made, and you see at the end of the day, Very Bad Santa is still going to be the crazy, overpowering force. So he gets the upper hand, gets a hold of a pipe, starts making his way towards Sax. Sax, with Hailey there, Sax breaks it to his daughter very quickly, just so there's no way, look, just, there's no Santa. I want you to know this. And then, of course, pipe will never win out over gun. And it's interesting because there was something said earlier in the episode where Very Bad Santa says, I can't be killed by anything but magic. And it's interesting at this point that Sax is able to kill him and put Very Bad Santa down. Now, again, I'm going to address that in like 2 seconds. But we essentially get that, so we get the wrap up. Police arrived. We already know Blue's been taken to jail. McCarthy and Amanda arrive. Now there's discussions about Sax getting some basic visitation and all that. And then, lo and behold, Sax drops. And you could tell almost in a weird way that it was probably done in one of those manners because we don't know where specifically things might be going for season 2 or not. Because we get the whole, we'll pick things up later on. And we see a great scene with McCarthy at the gravesite where Sax really says something beautiful to her about what she did for him and helping him get his daughter back. It's just really, really beautiful. We also see Blue in prison getting a visit from Mikey, and we don't know if it's the password or what, but we see a passing of the torch, of the demonic beast torch, from Mikey into Blue, who seems a lot more comfortable being the vessel for whatever this thing is that Mikey's been bringing over for the old country. So again, that's where we are leaving things. That raises a lot of questions I want to talk about real quick going into season 2. First, Sax. Is there something magical about him? I referenced before, they said about how, Very Bad Santa said he can only be killed by magic, and I noticed that Sax was able to take him out. The other thing I noticed too is that with Happy was no longer with Hailey, but Hailey doesn't completely not believe in him. In fact, I didn't even get the sense she didn't stop believing in him. And the feather in her hand left over I thought was interesting, but Happy's ability to connect himself to Sax I thought raises some very, very interesting questions in that regard. What happened to Amanda? There is no way Sunnyshine just let her go. We saw the scene when that whole big meat rave orgy thing was going on, that she was getting messed up and enthralled by it. Something happened to her while in Sunnyshine's place. We don't know what, but I can't see how that's not going to be playing out. What's the deal with Sunnyshine? We got a little bit of the backstory. We got to see his audition tape, which reminded me, oddly enough, about like the God audition tapes from Preacher. But we got to see that. But there's a lot more going on in this guy's story. What is his connection to the big supernatural or alien or whatever they are things? Is he just kind of like a tool? Again, tons of questions. And in regard to that, you can't help but ask about the Blue situation. Blue lamented all along about being, the errand boy for psychopaths. Now that he's got this power in him, does being that position serve him well? Or is this going to be a matter of him stemming up and not being errand boy anymore? Because I have to be honest with you, second season, I can imagine a very disturbing scene where Blue just blazes a path of dead bodies during one of those Sunnyshine latex orgy rave things that could be very disturbing on a ton of levels. So again, I think overall, I thought it ended incredibly strong. I thought it was a great first season. I thought it set up a lot of very interesting things moving forward. Hope we get more Patrick Fischler going into second season. Definitely need more Smoothie. But really, really impressive. I think there are so many ways the series could have gone wrong or could have softened itself or things like that, and it didn't. And these 8 episodes felt like the right amount of episodes to tell this story. It felt like we got a lot of storylines tightened up, but we still were left with a lot of good dangling threads. No cheesy cliffhangers, which I love, but enough good, solid cliffhangers that make me wonder, okay, what happens the next day, like what happens after that Coney Island date. So kudos to Syfy, kudos to everybody behind the production. I enjoyed doing the recaps and the live blog. I hope you guys have enjoyed it too. We will be back in 2019 to do the second season. I'm really looking forward to that. But thank you guys for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this recap and enjoy all the amazing and great television, film, comics, video game coverage that we have going on bleedingcool.com. Take care, folks.